Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcode.com, and this is another front-end build. So basically, if you haven't been watching this series of videos, we've taken the same Express Mongo API where I built it to Do's API. All the videos are in the video description. And then I've been building a different front end and different frameworks for it. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the, I made a handful of different frameworks. This is one of the more recent ones, and this one's called AMPonent. So Ponent, short for component, AM for my initials, Alex Merced, AMPonent. And it's a web component-based framework, but the idea is that instead of working with classes, you write your components through a function that generates the class and registers it. So it makes the whole process a little bit more straightforward. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is first I need to run the server, so I'm going to open this in a new terminal. And we're going to do an npm run dev to run the Express server. Oh, okay, we have that issue, meaning I left the server on. So let's kill it. So let me go open up boost note, grab this command, kill this, do that. Let's kill port 10,000. Good, and then now let's run the server. And then we're going to make a new terminal. And this new terminal, what we need to do is generate a new project, npm init vitae. Now AMPonent, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a vitae, we'll so go to do's amp or amp to do's. I'm going to use a plain vanilla vitae template. Okay, so cd into amp to do's. Do an npm install to install the existing dependencies for the template. Then install AMPonent, npm install AMPonent. And cool, oh, that's the wrong one. Here we go. And let's just run the dev server for that. And let's open up the browser. Oops, there we go. Where's the browser? It's on the other screen. I'm just trying to drag it over. I think I got it. Oh, nope. There we go. So localhost 3000. There we go. And essentially the way AMPonent works is you just write web components using these functions. We'll show you in just a second. Let me just create a new folder called components. And then what I'm going to do is just create the components I want for this particular app, which is the same thing we've been doing for all the previous ones, which is going to be a app.js, a display.js, and then a form.js, and then we import the library. So it's import AMPonent from AMPonent, and then basically what you do is you just say AMPonent dot make, and there's two basic functions in here: make, which makes a component; make style makes like a styled component, which is just like bound to some CSS to wrap around other components. So I'm going to make a component, and then essentially everything is done through an object. Okay, and essentially the minimum what I need to do is I need to pass in a render function, and this function can take in the following. It takes in what's called the box, which is basically the state. It takes in props, and then it takes in the element itself. Okay, and essentially this just needs to return a template string. So we're just going to write h1 app, even though I'm writing this in form, so we'll do form. And that is sort of the minimum for building out a function. So let's see here, Amponet, and then we can just do export default, just so that way something is exported, but it doesn't really matter. And then we just copy this over to the other ones. Return. This one's going to be display. And, oh wait, I just realized there's another argument. There's a first argument that is the actual tag name. So this one's going to be form. I'll just do it form. Has to be camel case because it's, or kebab case because it's a web component. So this one would be display. And I literally just woke up as usual. So it says make a component that has this name, and then this is all the configuration for that component. That's essentially the way this works. Okay, and display, this one's going to be app. Okay, and then this is that. And in this component is where I want the other components to be used. So in that case, I'll import them here. So import /display, import /form. And then here in the main.js, I want to import app because we're going to use app. So import /components/app. Cool. So now all those components should be registered because those functions ran and they're imported. So I should be able to just do this. App. And see, app. Cool. Okay, so there we have sort of our setup. So when it comes to writing a web component, that certainly looks a lot less than the typical web component boilerplate. So it really works really nice for really small components. Now, let's say I want to give it state. Then what I do is I define the box. So we're going to have the box. And the box, we're going to need to-dos. Okay, we're going to need to-dos, which is going to be an empty array. We're going to have a show form, because we need to toggle the form on and off. Okay, so I'll start as false. So again, let's just put our components here. Display, let's first do it this way. Main. And then here we'll put an H1. Alex's to-do app. Then we'll have display. And then we will have conditionally. So if box.showForm is true, then I want to show, then render here form-form. Otherwise, render nothing. Okay. Just put in an empty string. Cool. Okay. Display, main show form, good. Now we want to get the to-do, so we need a lifecycle function. Let me go refer to the docs, because even though I wrote this a while ago, so I don't memorize everything. And let's just go to npmjs.com. Let's look up AMPonent. Here it is. Here we go, before first. Okay. So before first. Okay. And I'm going to want that's fine as is. Now, then there's going to be a property called funcs. Okay, this is going to be a property where I can pass in other functions that will be added as methods. So I want a method called getToDos. That's going to be async. And again, this is going to just do the standard. Well, first let me actually also define the URL. http://localhost 10,000/todos. Okay, so we have that available to us. Now any of these methods in funcs, well, this will have the box available to us. Box props L. Okay, these methods can, let's see here, do I want to pass anything to it? Say, oh, I expect I will pass the box to, let's see here. I guess what we'll do is we'll say const the box equals this dot state the box. I mean, not this dot, this dot box dot your this dot box, and then that way we can use the box going forward. That way I don't have to worry about passing it in as an argument every time. Because getToDos, what happens is that when the constructor runs to construct the component, it's going to take this object and iterate and add all these functions to like the instance. So that way it has all these methods built in. Okay, const box, and then what we're going to do is we want to say const response equals await fetch box.url const data equals await response.json, and then what we want to do is put the data in the box. So we do this stuff box, which is a method to update the box. I pass in an object with the properties that I want updated. So I'll just say, hey, I want todos to be updated to reflect data. It merges the object, so I don't necessarily have to redefine all the previous properties. Okay, so this stuff box, which triggers a new render. Cool. That's good for now. So then in here, I can just call getToDos. What should be actually this.getToDos, or actually I can just do l.getToDos. So that was, you know, referring to this object, and I don't have to worry about any binding issues because this is the instance. I'm always passing the instance in, so that way you have that as a possibility. These functions don't have that because they're not predefined. Like these are methods that are predefined on how they're going to be used, so I can set those details. Cool. Okay, and then we'll figure out in a second how I'm going to pass those to-dos to display. Okay, now this is always like the tricky part with like web components, is how to pass like not strings as props. There really isn't a good way to do it natively. Like Google kind of figured this out with their HTML element template tags. That's one of the things I gotta sit there and explore, like, or I could just sit there and try to use the HTML template literal. I just gotta figure out how I would implement that into here. But we'll see that when we do the element video. But let's see here. How could I pass those to-dos down? There's basically the basic way you could do it is you could do this. You could do to-dos equals, and then you would do this, and then I actually have to pass it in as a JSON string. So I have to do like JSON dot stringify, and then stringify box dot to-dos. Okay, so then that technically works, and that'll technically satisfy our purposes today. I'm basically passing it as an attribute that is a JSON string, and that'll hold the data, and then I'll parse it on the other side. But it would be nice to have something just a little suaver. Okay. See here. So that'll go down that way. So let's try to use that. So then theoretically this should have access to those props. Let's just confirm that first. Console.log props. Just make sure that, you know, up to this point we're getting what we want. So I should be able to see the to-dos in this props console log. So see Control-Shift-I, props object, to-dos, well that's an empty array, the API call happen. Let's take a look. Do I see the API call for to-dos? To-dos. I don't see an API call for to-dos, so that tells me that that hasn't happened yet. So let me go back to app. And that's before first boxprop l dot get to-dos. Okay, let's just make sure that this before first is running. Okay, that's not running, so I might be calling it the wrong name. For first. Okay, see I have two different names, so I do have to fix that in the documentation. Let's just see here if I flip this, does that work better? First before. Yeah, that does the job. Okay, so you see there, now it did make the API call, so I gotta fix that in the documentation. I'll do that. Okay, cool. So essentially what I would want to do then is then take const to-dos equals props dot to-dos, but I want to make sure I parse that, so it'd be JSON dot parse. Oh, it's got to be if props to-dos exists. So basically, if to-dos let's see here. If type of to-dos equals string, then do this. Otherwise, just put an empty array. So do it. Can I access to-dos before initialization? Where did I access to-dos? Oh, I see. Props.to-dos. There we go. And let's see here. We should see this console log twice. Console.log to-dos. Second time should be the full array. Props. Let's do this. Console.log type of props.to-dos. Undefined. Okay, so or how about this? Props props dot to-dos is not an instance of array. But if that is true, let's just see here, instance of props dot to-dos, instance of array, false, false. Wait, what is it initially? Let's see here. Oh, because when we passes a string either way. So then why would this even bother airing? So console.log log to-dos. That's interesting. That 5 logs of 4, 9. So that's telling me, is JSON parse asynchronous? No, because it would say it has a promise. But I keep saying that 9 logs before. Wait, I don't have a previous console log. Props. Yeah, I don't have that console log of props anymore, so why is that still showing? Fresh. Oh, no, I think it's in display. Oh, that's the problem. I am doing this logic in the wrong place. Control X. That is my problem. Okay, so I've overcomplicated this whole thing. And really all I need to do is JSON.parse props.todos. Okay. Control C. Put that over here. Okay, I guess when it's just an array, it doesn't like the way. Well, let's see here. Props the first time it's just an empty array. The second time it doesn't like put. Okay. It's not parsing the array fine. That's the issue. And the question becomes why? To-dos. Maybe I need to do this. Let's try that. Does that make a difference? Nope. What if I do this? I package it as an object. And then I say to-dos. Does that make it more viable? No. It's just that there seems to be some weird characters apparently in the JSON that is having trouble parsing. So what's another way to deliver that? JSON.stringify. Okay. With let's think about that. How else can I get that data down other than props? I mean, the other way I can do it. Now I hear a way of doing it. Okay, let's console log L. Display to-dos. That's all fine and good. Now I want to see, let's do console.dir. I want to see all the functions and stuff on there. Display. Let's see here, can I access the parent display? App. So here, parent. This is going to be a little ghetto. There we go, main, nope. Oh, path. Array. Search before, draggable. Attributes. Why does it have two attributes called to do? To-dos. After parent node, parent element. What if I go to the parent element of the main tag? Nope. Okay, so that's not going to work. What I can do is that the app component should be in the document. Let's see if I can I access the document from within the shadow DOM? Let's find out. Document.query selector app. And then let's console.log const app. Okay. And then I want to console.log app because I'm curious. Is that what I think it is? Okay, good. We do have access to app. Now, do I have access to apps box then? Yes. Okay, so that might be the way I have to do this. Not my favorite way of doing this. Okay. Cool. Okay. I'll have to think of another mechanism for that, but this will work for now. So then we technically don't need this. Non-string props aren't going to be helpful. Control Z. This was one of those things that web components makes a little bit more trickier than using like Vue or React or whatnot. Console.log app.box. Okay, but we do have that. That works fine. Cool. So in that case, what I'm going to want to do is I have app. So then what I want to do is take the to-dos. And actually probably would make more sense is if I put that in my box. Okay, so we'll put this in this components box. And I'm going to put app as part of its state. So that was just accessible. I don't have to be fishing it around. Okay. So in this case, const to-dos would equal box.app.box.to-dos. And then we're going to say to-do HTML is going to equal to-dos.map. Okay, and for each to-do, we want to generate some HTML. Okay, so we're going to have a div. Okay, so let's just do this. Optional chaining. Our good friend. Ah. Okay, can now read property map of undefined? Fine. There we go. Okay. That'll get us out of the water for now. Not my favorite way of doing that, but I've already kind of lost a lot of time as it is. Okay, so let's see here. Div, I want there to be an H1 for each one of these. That is actually not an H1. Let's make it an H3. And it's going to have the to-do.reminder, to-do.reminder. And then we will have to-do.completed. And if it's true, it'll have an O. Otherwise, it'll have an X. Okay, and that'll generate the HTML so far. And then what we're going to do here is we'll just have a article tag, just act as a div. And inside of there, we will interject, and actually, no, I want this map here. I want to then dot join it. So that way it's just one big string. And then I'm going to put to-do.html in there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is console.log the box. So in that situation, where am I? This document dot query selector app. Apparently that does not give me back what I want. Okay, so maybe that approach did not. So I guess I will have to do it this way. Cons app equals and then do it this way. See if that makes a difference. Yep, that works. Okay, the only thing I don't like about that is then I'm just gonna have to like grab that app as I grab other props, but you know, we'll make it work. Okay. According to this, all my to-dos are completed. To-do that completed. Let me just see here. Console.log to-dos. Completed true, yeah. Completed true. Completed true. Oh yeah, I guess they are all completed. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so essentially what I did is I was able to fish out the information from the parent component because I know that if this is on the DOM, that's on the DOM, so I should be able to grab it. Because I can't, while you can't grab stuff within the shadow DOM using the document, you can grab the element itself. It gets a little bit more complicated if I nested it another level, which is why I'm trying to come up with some better mechanism for passing that down will be useful, but that's something we can think about later on. Okay. App, box and show form, good. So now let's just see if we can toggle the show form. Start getting trig out of the way. So doot. Okay, toggle form. Okay, and basically what we're going to do here is say that whenever this function is run, that this.box.showForm. Actually, no. We want to do this.stuffBox, and then basically showForm will equal not this.box.showForm. Okay, so we'll just toggle it. And okay, and now we just need to create a button that's going to have that toggle on it. Button, create to do. Okay, so there's the button. Now we're going to add an event listener. Okay, now I can't do that in the render function. So what we do is we have an after function, but I don't want it to not do it just the first time, but every time this thing re-renders, I need to re-add that event listener because it's removing the element and creating a new one. Okay. So in that case, what we're going to do is we have to define this after method. After. And then again, that also receives the box, the props, and the element. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. And props L. What do I want to do here? L. No. What I want to do here is just toggle off. Is add that event listener. So basically, I want to do like $$S, which is like basically query selector for shadow DOM, and say, hey, I want to grab the button, and then I want to add an event listener. That says on click, run this, an arrow function. Let's not fall into that trap. That runs this dot toggle form. Okay, so let's see if that works. Yes. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Okay. So now what I want to do is make it where I can fill out the form. So we gotta actually create the form. Okay, and what I am going to do is, actually we want that state in app that is going to keep track of what the form should be. So reminder this, reminder, reminder, reminder completed equals false, and action equals create. So if you see me do these other builds, you kind of know where I'm going with this. Reminder equals completed action and ID. This is just a piece of information we need to make the form usable when we edit and create. So now we have that. First, we just create the form. So we're going to create a form element. In that form, we'll have two inputs. Input type equals text. Input type equals checkbox, and input type equals submit, and then the value of that will be submit. And let's just see if that shows up right. Yep, that looks good to me. So again, I want to need to grab that stuff from app. So we'll just do it like before, const app equals Okay, app equals document dot query selector app, and then I can be like value equals app dot box dot reminder checked equals app dot box dot completed. Okay, then we're going to put the ID of the form. ID equals the app.box.id in case that there is one. And that is good. And then also put a attribute here just in case action. Oh no, that is a form property though. We'll just put do equals app.box.action. Okay, so that way we can just populate that data in there, so I don't have to go like fish it out. From app again. Cool. Although I kind of will, but doesn't hurt to have it there. Cool. So let's see if that works. So if I hit create to do, the form appears. Why does it come back as true? That's always the funky part. Okay. What we should do, because I guess if it's anything, if it's true, then come back as true, and otherwise, no. Does that fix it? No. Actually, here's the way we gotta do it. We gotta make the whole property conditional. Okay, so basically, if app.box.completed is true, then don't put anything there, and if so, put checked equals true. So let's see here. Should be blank. No, still. Now wait, is that now? Let's refresh. Oh, I see. I did it backwards. My bad. Checked equals true if it's true, and then nothing if it's false. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So that's all fun and good. Okay. So we got that form down. So now it's just a matter of getting the functions. So let's head over to, well, let's make funcs because we're going to need to create a handle click. So I'll just kind of set that up real quick. Funcs, which is another object with different methods. And we're going to have a handle submit function, which is going to receive the event. And again, we're going to have event.preventDefault. Okay, then we're going to have event.preventDefault. Then what I want to have is, let's go get app again, because I'm going to need to fetch some of those functions from it. So const.app there. Okay. And then we might as well just do the if statement here. If, well, actually, let me go grab the stuff from the inputs. So let's just say input reminder or text input const text equals $s or this dot $s. equals this dot $s. Really, I just need, no, actually I do, because I want to reset the form afterwards. So this dot $s equals the input of type text. Okay, and then this will be the checkbox. Just grab the checkbox. And it's going to be type equals checkbox. Okay. Cool. Now, once I've done that, then I want to create the to-do object that we're going to pass in. To-do equals a new object where basically we're going to have reminder, which is going to be the text.value. And then we're going to have completed, which will be checkbox.checked. Okay, and then we can do the if statements. Okay, so if app.box.action equals create, we're going to do this, which will just basically mean we're going to have app.funcs, actually no, it should just be app.handle create, and then we pass in the to do. Okay. If app.box.action, if app.box.action equals update, then we'll use a function called app.handle update, and we'll pass in the to do. But even before we do that, we're going to say to do dot underscore ID equals to do dot underscore ID equals to do dot underscore dot ID equals app dot box dot underscore ID. Cool. And then we reset the form. Actually, we don't even need to reset the form. We'll handle the resetting of the state inside handle create and whatnot. So that'll be all done there. So technically, the form component should, for the most part, be done. I just need to go add those functions in the app. So I need to go over here, add async. First, let's do reset state. Reset state. Okay, and when we reset state, what I want to do, so just copy this. So it'll be like this dot stuff box. Pass this object in there. I don't care about changing this. I don't care about changing this. Completed false. All this stuff can then be changed back to its default. That works for me. Okay. That works. That works. And that works. That works. Reset state. So now we can do handle create. So async handle create, which will take any to do. And this essentially what this does is going to be doing an await fetch this dot box dot URL plus to do plus slash the to-do dot underscore ID. Then we are going to do a post method, post headers. Headers is an object, and that's going to have headers. That's going to have content type. Application JSON. And then after that, body. And the body is JSON.stringify the to-do. Okay, and that should take care of that. And then again, after that's done, what we're going to do is and then actually I should put this dot stuff box, and then after we reset state, we should do get to-dos again. Okay. And then this should be this dot reset state. Okay. So theoretically I should be able to create a to-do now. Let's just see what happens. I do this, I'm gonna say eat a meal. I hit submit. Oh, that almost did everything it was supposed to do. But did the request happen? To-dos. Okay. Console, I don't see any output there. So go to the form. Did all that if dot app dot handle create, which should exist. Handle create do. Let's just see if this function that did run. We gibberish. Oh wait, I never hooked it up to submit the handler. That's why. Okay. That's why handle submit's not wired. Okay, so I gotta do that, and that's gonna require me to do the after, to find the after method. Okay. So then in the after method, what I wanna do is, again, box props L. So I'm gonna grab this L.S and grab the form. Const the form equals, and then we're going to say form dot add event listener, click, and then when we click on a thing, what I want, add event listener. Add event listener, and then there's an arrow function that takes in the event and calls this dot handle submit and passes in the event. Okay, and that gets handled from there. So let's try this out again. Yada 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 yada. Oh, not on click. My bad. On submit. There we go. I still didn't seem to recognize the prevent default that is happening. Oh, I see. Because I called it E. There we go. So create default, blah 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 blah. Submit. Post undefined. Oh, that's right, because this is not update. Okay, so I might as well just copy this because it's essentially what I do is make update. Okay, so let's do that. Put handle update here. Okay, do this. This is going to be a put. So that's pretty much what that should be. And then this should not have this because it's just a slash to do's. Okay, good. Save that so that it gets organized a little bit. And let's try this again. Okay. It didn't error. Slash to do's. See this one? It's an options request. There's the post request and it was successful. So yeah, it was successful. Why didn't it pull it? So let's think about that. So we do handle create, we await fetch, and then we do this dot reset state. Reset state does this dot stuff box. Then it does this dot get to do's. Doesn't seem like any of that stuff ran because like this is still there. Oop, alarm. Okay. So let me think about that. Why did reset state not run? Okay. Oh, because I didn't invoke it. That would make a difference. Okay, so let's see here. Create to do. Let's try that again. And there we go. Okay, good. That works the way that I thought it would work. Okay. Cool. So you see, one of these components still ends up getting kind of complicated after a while, but basically it's kind of like Vue where everything's just kind of like in the object, except the template's in there too. Okay, I just got to figure out a better like props type mechanism. Cool. So that's all fine and good. So really all I have left to do is let's make a handle delete function because I got the handle update function. So that's a quick copy and paste. Handle delete. And it's going to be a delete request. And we don't need all this. Okay, so that's going to be available there. And really all I need to do is update this. Okay, so basically what we need to do is after, and then also want to add a button for deleting. So for each one after the H3 we're going to add a button for deleting. Okay, and okay, here's where we run into that fun issue of how to add the event listener to each one and track the right to do. Got it. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to put the ID on the H3. So we're going to put an ID, which is going to equal the to-do dot underscore ID. So that way you know which one's which. Same thing for the delete button. To-do dot underscore ID. Okay. So then what's going to happen is that after this renders, okay, and then this is not going to necessarily be the most performant thing in the world, but it is what it is. Again, for small apps, these things don't matter too much. But as you talking about like 10,000 to-dos, this would probably matter. I'm going to loop over the to-dos. So I'm going to use I have props. I have props. I mean box props L available to me. Okay, first things first, I am going to want to get app. So app equals document dot query selector. Okay, app. So we're gonna need that for a few things here and there. Then what I'm going to want to do is grab all the H3s. So that's gonna be L dot SA, because that's gonna be select all. The shadow DOM version of it that's built into, like, what I did is I nested it into this function, so that way you don't have to type in like this dot shadow root dot query selector all. This is just a little bit easier. I noticed that like Riot, I think it was Riot.js, did something very similar. So great minds think alike. But what I want to do is I want to grab all the H3s. Okay, const H3s. Okay, and then essentially what I'm doing here is I'm going to loop over those H3s. So for H3 of H3s, and what I want to do is that for each one, okay, I'm going to do an event listener. So H3 dot add event listener. So when the H3 is clicked, a function happens that brings in the event. And so for now, let's just console.log the event dot target. Okay, and then we'll do the same. Let's just start with that. Okay, so let's see if that works. Can I go to the console? Let's refresh. H3 is not defined. Okay, so just want me to write like let. Is that what it's complaining about? Okay, fine. Okay, good. And let's make it console. Let's see if I do console.id. Okay, perfect. Okay, that works for me. Cool. So what's going to happen is I need to get the to-do. So I'm going to say const to-do equals app.box.todos.find. That's for each to-do. I want you to find the one whose t._id equals event.target.id. And let's just console log that, make sure that works. To do. Okay, good, that's working. So then basically what happens is that then we're going to do app.stuffbox. Okay. And go copy that box from here. Okay, and then what I want is, no, we don't need to change to-dos. This we're going to change to true because we want to show the form. We want to, that's going to be the same, so we don't need to change that. Now reminder will equal to-do.reminder. This will equal to-do.completed. This will equal update. And this will equal to-do._id. Okay. Let's see if that works. So I want to edit this one. Oh, didn't put a dot. Okay, perfect. And let's see here. Can I change it? If I hit submit. Aha, it works. Okay, so update is working. So now we're just going to do the same thing with the delete buttons. So I'm going to say const buttons equals l dot sa button, and then we do the same thing. Okay, so just make sure we go there for let button of buttons, and then we kind of basically do the same thing. Button dot add event listener, click event. I'm going to want that to do same exact logic as here, so I'll just copy that. And then what we're going to do is pass that to do to app dot handle delete. Handle delete, and pass in that particular to do, and that should do that. So let's see. Yep, it works. Okay, we got full CRUD. Once again, I can add, create. I can read my to-dos, I can create to-dos, I can update to-dos, I can delete to-dos. Okay, done all with AMPonent. Okay, again, this is a framework that I created, so as you can see, there's still a little quirk of trying to figure out a better mechanism for components to communicate with each other. The encapsulation's there, and that all works. I just got to figure out a better way of inter-component communication. So I'll think on that, but I'll see you guys later. Have a great day and enjoy. My name is Alex Brissett from alexbrissettcoder.com.